Section 11 of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, translated by Courtney Langdon. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Inferno Canto 11. The Sixth Circle. Heresy. The distribution of the damned in the Inferno.
Upon the utmost verge of a high bank, formed in a circle by great broken rocks, we came upon a still more cruel pack. And there, by reason of the horrible excess of stench the deep abyss exhales, for shelter we withdrew behind the lid of a large tomb, whereon I saw a scroll which said, Pope Anastasius I contain, whom out of the right way Photinus drew.
Our going down from here must be delayed, so that our sense may first get used a little to this foul blast. We shall not mind it then.
The teacher thus, and I, find thou therefore some compensation, lest our time be lost. And he to me,
See how I think of this. My son, within these rocks,
he then began,
are three small circles which, from grade to grade, are similar to those thou leavest now. Full of accursed spirits are they all. But that hereafter sight alone suffice thee, hear how and wherefore they are packed together. Of all wrongdoing which in heaven wins hate, injustice is the end, and each such end aggrieves by either violence or fraud. But whereas fraud is man's peculiar evil, God hates it most. Therefore the fraudulent are down below, and greater pain assails them. All the first circle holds the violent, but since against three persons force is used, its shape divides it into three great rings. Both against God, one's neighbour, and oneself may force be used. Against themselves, I mean, and what is theirs, as clearly shown out here. By force both death and painful wounds are given one's neighbour, and thereby his property is ruined, burned, and by extortions robbed. The first ring, hence, torments in separate troops all homicides, and those that smite with malice, spoilers of property, and highway robbers. Upon oneself may one lay violent hands, and on one's goods. Hence, in the second ring must needs repentant be without avail whoever of your world deprives himself, gambles away, and dissipates his means, and weepeth there where he should joyful be. 'Gainst God may force be used by wittingly denying that he is, by blasphemy, and by desprising nature and his goodness. And therefore with its mark the lesser ring sealeth both Sodom and Cahor, and him who, speaking from his heart, despises God. And fraud, whereby all consciences are bitten, one may employ against a man who trusts him, and against a man who storeth up no trust. This latter kind of fraud would seem to kill only the bond of love which nature makes. Hence in the second circle make their nest hypocrisy and flatteries, and workers of magic, coining, theft, and simony, panders and grafters, and such filth as these. In the other way forgotten is the love which nature makes, and that which afterward is joined thereto, when special trust is born. Hence in the smallest ring, where the universe its centre hath, and on which this is seated, whoever betrays is spent eternally.
Teacher, said I, thine argument proceeds most lucidly, and full well classifies this deep abyss and those that people it. But tell me now, those of the muddy marsh, those whom the wind drives, those the rain beats down, and those that with such keen tongues meet each other, why aren't they punished in the red-hot town, if God be angry with them? And if not, why are they tortured in those several ways? And he to me,
Why doth thine intellect wander so far from that which is its wont, or doth thy mind intently gaze elsewhere? Hast thou no recollection of the words with which thine Ethics treats extensively, the dispositions three which heaven rejects, incontinence and malice, and insane bestiality, and how incontinence offends God least, and hence receives least blame? If thou consider this opinion well, and then remember who those are above that outside undergo their punishment, well shalt thou see why from these wretches here they're set apart, and why less wrathfully vengeance divine is hammering on them here.
O Sun that healest every troubled sight, thou so contentest me when answering questions that doubt no less than knowledge pleases me. Return a little further back, said I, to where thou sayest usury offends goodness divine, and loose the tangled knot.
Philosophy,
said he to me,
points out to him that understandeth it, and not in one part only, that nature takes her course from the intellect divine and from its art, and if thou note thy physics carefully, after not many pages shalt thou find that your art follows that as best it can, as the disciple him who teaches. Hence your art is grandchild, as it were, to God. From these two things, if thou recall to mind the first of Genesis, must people needs obtain their livelihood, and progress make. And as the usurer takes another course, nature both in herself and in her follower he scorneth, since in something else he trusts. But follow me now, for I please to go, because the fishes o'er the horizon quiver, and wholly over chorus lies the wain, and one descends the bank much further on.
End of Inferno Canto 11.